The year was 1883, and the Arizona Territory was alive with the restless spirit of the American frontier. Every week, ranchers, traders, blacksmiths, travelers, and settlers gathered in the dusty market town of Prescott to buy supplies, trade livestock, and exchange stories from the vast desert. Wooden storefronts lined the main street, horses were tied to hitching posts, and wagons rolled through clouds of red dust beneath the blazing afternoon sun. Merchants called out prices for flour, leather, tools, and blankets, while cowboys laughed outside the saloon. Yet among the noise and excitement stood one lonely figure who attracted curious glances but received no kindness. Near the edge of the marketplace, beside an old wooden wagon, stood a young Apache woman, with her face hidden beneath a long woven veil. Her hands were folded quietly before her, and although she stood with dignity, the sadness in her posture revealed months of hardship. The people passing by whispered among themselves, but kept their distance. Rumors spread quickly through the market. Some claimed the woman had been captured after a violent raid on an Apache settlement. Others insisted she hid terrible scars beneath her veil, while a few simply believed she brought bad luck. No one cared enough to learn the truth. The trader responsible for her custody shouted to the crowd, hoping someone would pay for her labor, but every interested buyer eventually walked away after hearing the frightening stories. The young woman remained silent, refusing to lower her head despite the humiliation. She remembered the peaceful life she had once known among her people, where she had gathered herbs with her mother, helped care for children, and learned the traditions of her tribe beneath the wide Arizona sky. Those memories were now all she had left after ruthless outlaws attacked her village months earlier, destroying homes and separating families. Since then, she had been forced to travel from settlement to settlement, treated as if she were nothing more than property. Late that afternoon, a tall cowboy rode into town on a strong bay horse. His name was Daniel Hayes, a respected ranch owner known throughout the territory for his honesty and quiet courage. At 32 years old, Daniel had built his ranch through years of determination and hard work. Unlike many cowboys who sought trouble, he believed every person deserved fairness and respect. He had come to Prescott to purchase tools, horse feed, medicine, and supplies before returning to his ranch several miles away. After tying his horse outside the general store, he noticed a small crowd gathered near the wagon. Curious, he walked closer and listened as people repeated the same cruel rumors about the veiled Apache woman. Instead of joining their laughter, Daniel watched her carefully. Through the thin fabric covering her face, he noticed frightened eyes that revealed exhaustion rather than anger. They were the eyes of someone who had suffered greatly but refused to surrender her dignity. Daniel approached the trader and calmly asked why the woman stood there alone. The trader shrugged and replied that no one wanted her because everyone believed she hid something terrible beneath the veil. Daniel glanced toward the silent woman once more. She never begged for help or tried to defend herself against the rumors. She simply stood quietly, hoping someone would see her as a human being instead of believing the stories surrounding her. Without another question, Daniel reached into his leather wallet and placed enough money into the trader's hand to secure her freedom. The crowd fell silent in disbelief. Several men warned Daniel that he was making a mistake, insisting the mysterious woman would bring nothing but trouble. Daniel ignored every warning. Looking directly at the young Apache woman, he spoke with calm respect. "You're free," he said. "No one owns you anymore. If you wish, you may leave whenever you choose." The young woman looked at him with surprise, unable to believe what she had heard. For the first time in many months, someone had spoken to her without cruelty or fear. She slowly stepped beside Daniel as they prepared to leave the crowded marketplace together. Just then, a powerful desert wind swept through the street, lifting dust into the air and shaking every wagon canvas and storefront sign. In an instant, the woven veil slipped from the young woman's face and drifted to the ground. Conversation stopped. the marketplace became completely silent. Every person who had believed the cruel rumors stared in astonishment. There were no scars hidden beneath the veil. Instead, the young Apache woman possessed striking features, calm determination, and proud, dark eyes that reflected courage far greater than beauty alone. Daniel stood quietly, not amazed by her appearance, but by the strength she had carried through months of suffering without allowing bitterness to consume her. As the veil rested in the desert dust between them, neither of them realized that this unexpected meeting in a small Arizona market would become the beginning of a remarkable journey that would forever change both of their lives. As the sun disappeared behind the Arizona mountains, Daniel Hayes and the young Apache woman rode quietly toward his ranch. Neither of them spoke much during the journey, yet there was already an understanding between them built on simple kindness. When they reached the ranch house, Daniel showed her a small guest room and assured her that she was free to leave whenever she wished. The young woman looked at him with grateful eyes before finally introducing herself. "My name is Ayana," she said softly. "My father is a respected Apache healer, and my people believed I was lost forever." She explained that months earlier, a ruthless gang of outlaws had attacked her village, while many of the warriors were away hunting. Homes were burned, families were separated, and she was taken far from her homeland. Since then, she had been forced from one settlement to another, never knowing if she would ever see her family again. Daniel listened without interrupting, his respect for her growing with every word. When she finished, he made a quiet promise. "As long as you're here," he said, "no one will ever treat you like property again." The days that followed brought new life to the lonely ranch. Ayana refused to remain idle. Before sunrise, she helped prepare breakfast for the ranch hands, carried water from the well, and cared for the horses with remarkable patience. She gently cleaned the wounds of injured animals using healing herbs she recognized from the desert, surprising everyone with her knowledge of natural medicine. Several ranch workers who had once doubted her soon admired her wisdom and calm spirit. She planted medicinal herbs beside the ranch house and showed the workers how certain desert plants could soothe burns, heal cuts, and reduce fever. Even the oldest cowboy on the ranch admitted he had never seen anyone care for animals with such kindness. Daniel often watched from a distance as Ayana worked, noticing that despite everything she had suffered, she greeted each new day with quiet courage instead of bitterness. As the weeks turned into months, friendship slowly grew into something deeper. In the evenings, after the day's work was finished, Daniel and Ayana often sat on the wooden porch, watching the desert sky glow with brilliant shades of orange and crimson. Daniel shared stories about building his ranch from nothing, while Ayana spoke about Apache traditions, family gatherings, and the lessons her father had taught her about respecting nature and living with honor. They discovered that although they had grown up in different worlds, they believed in many of the same values: honesty, compassion, loyalty, and courage. Daniel admired Ayana not because of her beauty, but because of the strength she carried within her heart. Ayana, in turn, saw that Daniel's greatest quality was not his skill as a cowboy, but his willingness to treat every person with dignity, regardless of their past. One peaceful evening, as lanterns flickered outside the ranch house, several riders appeared across the desert. The ranch hands reached for their rifles, fearing trouble, but Daniel calmly walked toward the gate. As the riders came closer, Ayana recognized the familiar markings on their horses and clothing. Tears filled her eyes. They were Apache warriors, led by her father and the tribe's chief. They had searched for her across the Arizona territory for many months, never giving up hope that she might still be alive. Ayana ran toward them, embracing her father, as both struggled to hold back tears of joy. The reunion touched everyone present. After learning how Daniel had rescued Ayana without asking for anything in return, the Apache chief stepped forward with deep respect. Instead of seeking revenge against settlers as many had feared, he thanked Daniel for showing honor when others had shown cruelty. As a symbol of gratitude, the chief presented Daniel with a beautifully handcrafted Apache blanket and declared him a trusted friend of the tribe. It was a rare honor, earned not through battle but through compassion. Several weeks later, the Apache elders and Daniel's neighbors gathered beneath the wide Arizona sky for a joyful celebration unlike any the territory had ever seen. Cowboys, settlers, and Apache families stood together in peace, sharing food, music, and stories around a great evening fire. Surrounded by the people who loved and respected them, Daniel took Ayana's hands and asked if she would walk beside him through whatever life might bring. With tears of happiness in her eyes, Ayana accepted. Their union became a symbol of hope, proving that understanding could overcome fear and kindness could bridge even the deepest divisions. Together, they built a life where both frontier and Apache traditions were honored with equal respect. Their ranch became a place where travelers found welcome, neighbors found friendship, and no one was judged by rumors or appearances. Years later, people across the Arizona territory still told the remarkable story of the veiled Apache woman whom no one in the market wanted, and the cowboy whose simple act of compassion changed two lives forever, leaving behind a legacy of trust, freedom, family, and lasting love.